I get those goosebumps every time you come around, yeah. You ease my mind, you make everything feel fine. Worry about those comments, I'm way too numb, yeah. It's way too dumb, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time I need the hind, throw that to the side, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you're not around, when you throw that to the side, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. 713 through the 21, yeah, I'm riding. Why they on me? Why they on me? I'm flying, sipping low key. I'm sipping low key and honest, find a rider. I get those goosebumps every time you come around, yeah. You ease my mind, you make everything feel fine. Worry about those comments, I'm way too numb, yeah. It's way too dumb, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time I need the hind.
Yes! Get in. Welcome to Loaded Mag NUFC. Welcome to a loaded reaction. Welcome to Top of the Group of Death. Lads, how are ye? Pete, I'll start with you. 3 hours sleep after a mad dash to Newcastle and back.
Mate, I said to you before, I'm going on a matchstick highs today, mate. Honestly, about falling asleep. Unbelievable. Wow. I couldn't describe it at the time. I'm just still buzzing. I'm still living off adrenaline. One of the best nights supporting Newcastle United by a million miles. What a night. What a game. What a result. Come on.
What a birthday. Happy birthday, Pete. Happy birthday.
Dude,
what a way to celebrate. You get some great presents on your birthday. Take over 2 years ago. And this. You get nothing next year. In 2 years' time, you might get something again.
And this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That's it. No more presents for you.
No more. I'm done.
Richie, how's things?
Well, as you know, I've just said I've got a lot of bad stuff going on at home at the moment. I've been off for the last few weeks. I don't know when I'll be back after this one, but after last night, and as I just said, is in the green room before. If I didn't come on tonight, I'd chew myself to bits sitting watching it on the TV like the viewers in the chat. After what we've been through as a channel, is not just people putting content out there for all the people out there who love Newcastle, but we've been through a lot since we've all met each other and become part of the YouTube world. You know what I mean? We're like brothers now. We're not just, mates. We're like brothers. You know what I mean? That's how I'd be chewing myself if I didn't take in the best night in Newcastle United history while we've been alive anyway with you guys. So I don't know when I'll be back after tonight because of everything going on, but I had to take in tonight with you guys. So I'm glad I'm here. I'm buzzing like the rest of you are. And obviously just go from there. We'll just go with the floor as we normally do, Das.
Nice one, Richie. Nice one. Look, we'll cheer you up. Don't you worry about that. And look, we have Boy George with us as well.
Yeah,
Chris, how are you?
I saw it. Yeah, I saw it.
Or should I say?
Wow, is very nice. No, I'm good, mate. I'm good. It's I feel like I've been away myself actually, but yeah, I've been looking forward to the talking all things PSG tonight so much. It only really hit home last night when I was looking. I was on Twitter and I was having the read of all the comments and pictures and videos and stuff like that, and I was just like, wow. And when people, funnily enough, as elated as I was last night, I didn't really take it in. I was still in shock. And it was only kind of after the game and seeing people's comments and what people were writing, I was thinking, yeah, do you know what? This probably is one of our, best results, best performances, whatever you want to call it, in recent times, if not, the past however many years. So, yeah, absolutely buzzing. But yeah, on a personal note, mate, I'm fine. I've got me, what is it, eyeshadow and lippy off. So I'm happy.
Anyone that's curious about what we're talking about here, That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
You're not going to limit down, Chris. But to be fair, I said to you at the time, it's actually a pretty good, outfit. To be
It was a
fair,
good effort, wasn't it? It was a good effort.
no, it is.
What did Lisa go as?
She went. It was an 80s themed party, so she went as like an 80s themed girl at the time. And to be honest, most of the girls who went did that. And I just decided to go all out with the our boy George.
Nice one. Maybe we'll have to do a live version of that sometime, lads. Yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it after.
I can't imagine the Aiken side in March 2024 taking anyone like Get Boy George next year, mate.
I don't know if they're ready for it.
I meant on the screen. Yeah, maybe not in the Aiken side. Right, let us get into it, lads. I don't know where to start. Maybe at the beginning and say hello. We are the Geordie boys. Some of the again war flags were outstanding as we come to expect now. They're absolutely class. Look at some of the flags and everyone giving it loads. What an atmosphere! The cauldron, as they described it on TNT, which was dynamite last night as well. Their coverage of the game, but yeah, and just when that music went and the Champions League ball in the middle there was waving, though I've been dying for that for ages. But Pete, you were there for that bit. What was that like?
Well, you guys will see a little bit of it as well because I managed to capture a little bit. So I'll forward it on to you guys so you can have a look. But yeah, honestly, I think I mentioned it to you, Daz, before the other boys came on. First of all, I've never seen so many fans in so early before a game. I've never seen a cauldron of an atmosphere before the players had even finished warming up. It was just electric from the moment I stepped out into the stadium to the moment that I left. It was absolutely electric. Like, I've never heard a celebration of a group of players finishing a warm-up. It was like we'd scored a goal. Honestly, like I don't know whether it was captured on TV. Probably TNT didn't catch it as they should, but the lads finished their warm-up right in front of the Gallagher, and honestly, the roar from the whole stadium was just like, it was like we'd scored. It was just unbelievable, and the players were up for it. We'll talk about it in the game, and the passion and the fist pumps. That was before the game. It was happening before the game from players. They were bang up for that game, 110%. I've just not seen anything like it. It was unbelievable. The flags, everything, like the one in the Gallagher, that picture that you put up, I'd not seen that because I was in the Gallagher, so I'd not seen that picture. Yeah, I was one of the white flags. So the last, I think I would be on the right hand side, the white flags that are going up. On the right hand side, the second row, I'm probably about midway up there.
I see you. I see you now.
I'm there somewhere. So I was waving the white flags and capturing a few videos as well. But yeah, just electric, mate. That's how I can describe it. It's just quality. I do want to add though, like a few people have said, like, obviously they've seen Lee in the build up to the game. There was a little bit of trouble. I was driving up at the time, and Lee had sent me a few videos of he was obviously with the PSG fans because they have to kind of stay together, and the ultras that were at the front, and Lee and my nephew Max were there as well. And yeah, it wasn't really nice to hear that bottles were being thrown from both sides. You know, both sides are to blame. There's no finger pointing at one or the other. Like Lee and Max nearly got hit with a couple of bottles. They had to kind of dive out the way, move out the way. So yeah, it kind of like it changed the atmosphere before the game, I think, because Lee got up there really early because there was a friend of his that flew over from Paris that he met and took up to the game. They said the atmosphere before that was amazing. Fans were integrated, like having really good time, and then all of a sudden, like the banter that was happening turned to serious. And then it just kind of, but of course, it's only a small group of fans. The vast majority are really respectful and very good. But I just wanted to throw that out there, like before the game, that it wasn't what we're used to as Newcastle fans, seeing that type of stuff before a game. But look, when we got into the stadium, it lit up for sure.
No, it's good to get that insight as well, Pete. Let's get into the team, and here is the Newcastle team that Eddie picked. But you don't need to look at it in this form. Let's look at this. These are the legends that took to the field. What did you make of the selection? And I'll go to you first, Richie, because Pete, we had spoken about it on away days. And the one change that we had from this was we were starting Murphy, because we thought that Eddie Howe would do the similar that he did to Milan, but he went all out attack and went for Miggy. But Richie, what did you make of the team?
I think he, with the members that we knew weren't fit, I think he had to try and go with the strongest remaining lineup, and I think that's where Miggy does come in. He is obviously the way he's been the last 18 months or so since the start of last season. He's been, a fantastic player for us on that right hand side. He's going to put the work rate in, which he's going to have to do against the fullbacks at PSG. And his work was that good that a lot of the work, well, to be fair, we might as well say both fullbacks, a lot of the work that Hernandez and Hakimi did were in their own half. The majority of the time they only got possession in that half. So that comes from the press, and Miggy's one of the best pressers of the ball. I think we'd all agree with that. So I think he had to go with the strongest lineup. Because of that, obviously, as I mentioned, the people that were missing, we were down to our bare bones in the midfield three, realistically. So you needed to have, obviously, we were missing Botman at the back as well. Not that you'd have known last night, because Botman Mark II it came in for him last night.
Botman might get back in now.
I know. You never know. You never know. But obviously, I know we're going to get into that a bit more. But no, apart from that, I think the team picked itself, and it was, as you said the other day, in a way it is. It was either or. I probably would have went with Miggy, like Eddie did, just as I said, just for purely down to strength in the team. So
I saw that one popping up. Chris, we'll go to you next, and I want to get your thoughts, Chris, because I know you were kind of a bit worried about what we had on the bench as well. But your thoughts on the team and what we had on the bench.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, just to say, I watched the away days with you and Pete and Jonathan.
Much better, wasn't it? The regular guy wasn't on it. Much better.
Yeah, no, to be fair, it was. You're right, Daz. You're right. But no, mate, honestly, it was a great show. Really, really great show. And to be fair, you boys were spot on with the lineup. The only different thing was that, as you say, Daz, that conversation over Murphy and Miggy. And in the end, Eddie Howe went for Miggy. He went for the more attacking threat, which I'm sure we're going to get to very shortly. But yeah, I mean, it was like Richard said, it's the best lineup we probably could have put out. It was the most attacking lineup we could have put out. Let's say it like that. It was just looking at the bench, wasn't it? I mean, we know that we're missing a good number of players. And I was only saying to my dad today, if we'd have had the likes of Wilson, the likes of Botman, the likes of Joe Linton, the likes of Barnes, imagine we had them on the bench along with Hall and Livramento and Dubravka. All of a sudden, you're looking and you're going, that's a strong 11, and it's a strong bench as well. So promising times ahead. But I had no problems with the lineup, and yeah, I was pleased going into it.
Let's look at the PSG team, sponsored by FC24, which you had there as well, Pete. But what did you make of PSG? Lee was saying that they were going to go 4-3-3, but they had 4 attacking players out there, and they even played Noami and Ramos up top there. So that was interesting what Enrique did. But what was your thoughts on the lineup?
I wasn't surprised. It was not necessarily the lineup. It was the formation, because it looks like in game it was like a 4-4-2. So it looked like they were playing with 2 strikers. And it's interesting. He said like Ramos and Kolo Muani, because it very quickly, after about 10 minutes, changed, and Mbappe was playing up top. because he wasn't getting any joy from Trippier on that side at all. So therefore, I think he had that first ball where he kind of like arrowed it in, and I think it was Dembele that put it wide in the first half, and it was only a few minutes in. It was their first real attack, really. Other than that, he wasn't really getting any joy, and he ended up finding himself in the middle quite quickly. But I think their formation more than anything surprised me, because it then left them 3-on-2, and we had the extra man, and at times it really did tell. But that was probably the only big surprise. There's one or two players that they probably could have played, but they were more attacking players. But no, the formation, as I said, more than anything.
Cool. Let's fly through the game and get to the good stuff. I'll stop at every goal. Right, first half, 4 minutes in, Mbappe to Dembele, lots of space but shot wide of the post. 13 minutes in, Miggy intercepted and shot over. 16 minutes, an intercept from Bruno. Isaac had a shot, great save from the keeper, and Miggy was there. Follow up goal for Miggy, first goal in the Champions League since 2003. PSG are rattled. Newcastle are all over them. What did you make of the first goal? Chris, I'll go to you first.
What did I make of the first goal? Other than the fact that I was just completely in shock when it actually went in. We were pressing, we were, really getting at PSG. And then I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Marquinhos tried to play a crossfield ball or clearance. I think it was a crossfield ball. I think he was trying to be clever. And then Bruno obviously headed the ball down. Isaac got a pretty good shot away, which Donovan managed to save. And then obviously he could only spill it out, couldn't he, to Miggy. But I mean, we do criticise Miggy for not being two-footed. And when he arched his body to hit it with his left, I was just thinking, just hit it with your right, just hit it with your right. But he did that, and he caressed it into the corner. So showed great composure, and it was a smart finish. And when you watch it back, for him to have to change his body shape the way he did really, really well with it. So I thought it was a good finish. But yeah, I just at the time for that split moment, I was thinking, just hit it with your right, just hit it. You haven't got time to do that, but he managed to do it, and it was a cool finish, and obviously give us a great platform then going into the rest of the game.
Definitely. Richie, your thoughts on Miggy's goal?
Do you know what I think? The one thing that shocked me most about the goal, obviously the press was fantastic from minute one. Even when Anthony Gordon got we won a goal kicking, I think it was in the first minute, and then Anthony Gordon, he like veins were popping out his arms and his head, just like the celebration of the press and getting the crowd behind. And the thing is, it set the tone for the rest of the game from that first minute. And part of that press was one of the reasons why I think Marquinhos was trying to be clever playing out the back, because he was trying to beat the press by playing that ball out. And obviously, if that ball had been, like a foot higher, you've technically beaten a lot of the midfield press. But because he put it so low, and Bruno was able to win the ball back, and to be fair, the header could have went anywhere. But look, it dropped straight to Isak, the one person you want to do, and it was a hell of an effort by him. Do you know what I mean? It was a fantastic save by Donnarumma. But I think don't get me wrong, Miggy's finish is phenomenal. It's obviously, I know Donnarumma gets blindsided, but what makes it more of a special goal for me was the fact that I thought he must have been in a wide, out wide on the right, even more than what he was, to use his left foot, rather than he came from deep out, centrally to get his body round that way. It was as though he was playing a game of Twister or something. Do you know what I mean? To get his body in that position, to get his left foot around it and put it in that. Obviously, we know he's like a wizard with that left foot. If in all honesty, lads, and pretty much his right foot to standing foot, but the way he got his body into that position to actually be able to do that, it was a phenomenal technique. To be honest, I don't think there's nobody else on our team could probably do it, because they're not that one-footed. But that was what made the goal for me, seeing the replays and seeing how good he was to do it from the position he was in. As I said, if he was cutting in from the right and did it, it's an easier finish to do because the ball's coming onto you. But the fact he's come from, as I said, more centrally towards the edge of the 18-yard box centrally, and has to get his body all the way around it to do it, it's a phenomenal finish. It really, really is. And you saw on that picture that you put up, Daz, he was ecstatic. That all the celebrations were like that for every single little thing. As I said, throw-ins when we're winning tackles and putting the ball out and goals. It was it's phenomenal to see that team spirit and the euphoria when we celebrate anything as a team now. And as I said, it set the tone for the rest of the game. And 15 minutes in, and the two armies on cloud 9.
Yeah, you're spot on to mention that Gordon, there, Richie, in that, because it was Bruno started that off, and now everyone's doing. Dan Burn does it as well in the game. It's just, especially when we win, it's something to look back on. And but Pete, you were down the opposite end of the ground. What was your view like of Mickey's goal?
I just couldn't believe it when it hit the back of the net. That's all. You don't see it as clear as day as what you do on TV, that's for sure. But well, what you could see is the press, just outstanding press. They couldn't handle it. For as good as PSG are, couldn't handle the press. It was one thing that was talked about before the game. And it really interestingly, all the French media was asking Eddie Howe and talking about Newcastle's press. They knew it was an issue, and we made it an issue, and I loved it. Brilliant all round, great win. Was it Tonali that wins the header?
Bruno.
Sorry. Bruno wins the header. Richard talked about the finish. The way he bends it round the defender means that's why he scores the goal. As simple as that. It's a very unique style, and Richie's right. It's purely because he's one-footed, because he's learned to play that way, because he is so one-footed. He plays with that foot, so he learns to take shots with his strongest foot that no other player would do, because anyone that's two-footed, like we've talked about, it would have been taken with his right. It's an underrated finish.
Yeah,
people will say it wasn't the best of the lot, or wasn't considered as good as some of the others. We'll probably have Schar and Dan Burns up there ahead of it, but I think it's a sensational finish, and it goes right into the side netting as well. So it's the perfect finish where Donnarumma can't get to, and he's a big guy. Jesus Christ, he's a monster goal. He literally covers most of the goal, and it's for some people, they'll be surprised why he conceded 4, but not me.
Thanks, Miggy. I lost my voice after that goal went in. I shared this a lot. My little boy had just gone to bed, and my voice is gone. I think he even sent you a message after that, but my voice is gone at that stage.
You did.
So it only came back in the middle of the day today. But I think we have one of these.
Super chat.
Ooh, I like that. That's a lot.
God. Colin Nickel. Look at that comment from Colin. Thanks, Colin. I couldn't have said it better myself, Colin.
Darby's speechless after last night's performance. That's all it is.
Well, I don't blame him. Yeah. I was speechless myself for half the day today. But thanks, Colin, for the donation to the channel.
Thank you, Colin.
As always.
Right, let's move on.
What? You didn't. Thank you very much, Kamal, for the £2.
Super chat.
You know what it sounds like Zelda. It sounds like Zelda. When if you ever played Zelda and you get something and he kind of Link puts it up in the air, it's literally like that. It's like
YouTube don't think it sounds like Zelda. They'll clip. We'll have to remove the sound again. Thanks, YouTube.
We need a trophy. We need a trophy to do, and then we lift it up, and that's the noise. Thank you for contributing to the channel, top man.
Yes, Kamal.
Thanks, Kamal. Right, let's get back into it. because there's more. It didn't just end there. 24 minutes. Schar had a low shot after a trips corner. Newcastle, when they were without the ball, they were kind of looking like they were playing a 4-5-1. That across the middle, they were in 5, waiting for PSG, but pressing them as well. Newcastle first every ball. Isaac got a head injury then. He's on 30 minutes. He had the old Terry Butcher, the sheer bandage on him then for a while. Up until halftime, he changed it out then. After that, 39 minutes. Scramble in the box. A lot of messing in the box. Ball back in from Bruno. Big Dan Burn. An unbelievable header. Here, I have it here somewhere. There, this one. And yeah, then there was the ball did cross the line. It was so clear as day on TV that the ball had crossed the line. Went to a VAR check. About 10 minutes later, we got to find out the result of that VAR check, but it was all linked. The delay was linked to a potential Lascelles handball, but with Lascelles not actually putting the ball in the net, it did not matter. But at this stage, we're 2-0 up against PSG. We're in total dreamland. Pete, I'll go to you first. What did you make a Dan Burns goal?
Well, it was a really good passage of play, good ball in. You know what? Lascelles is so good at set pieces because he just keeps things in play. Like he just puts his head on everything. He puts his body on the line. Like I don't know. Like he's always been good for us in set pieces, and yeah, there's the controversy of the hand and all the rest of it, but he keeps things in play. He makes defenders have to make decisions on things, and the ball lands. Yeah, it was interesting. Dan Burn said in the interview after the game, he went mad at Bruno because he took the shot rather than crossing it in first time, putting it to the back post. But yeah, Bruno obviously great bit of play, good save from Donnarumma, flicks it back in. And yeah, it was. It felt like we had Alan Shearer back on the pitch with the way he towered above his defender to slam the ball into the net. We just thought it was an outstanding save from where we were. The other side, we were thinking, how has he saved that? But yeah, and then obviously the offside comes in. But it was interesting because everyone was like, oh, that chance missed. And then all of a sudden, because we can see the screen from where we are, it's got goal check. And everyone around me is like, goal check? What are you on about? Well,
and a fridge as well.
Yeah, I would say, yeah, it did actually. I'm saying, well, if it's goal check, clearly it was a goal. So they're checking just the situation, whether it was offside. We thought it was the offside, apparently, and you guys might correct me. It was something to do with the Lascelles handball that they were checking rather than the offside. We just assumed it was the offside for Bruno because of where he was. We were like, well, it was a goal, so they're clearly checking to see whether everything else is okay. And then after a long wait, the referee, we did have a start to have a feeling. We were kind of half jumping because the ref was taking so long. We were thinking it's closer than we think. Like there's a chance here. And when it does, we just go mad. I've got to give a shout out to one of the old boys sitting next to me, Jacko. What a guy! Oh, one of the old boys. He was a bit suspicious when he came. He was because the normal scene ticket guy wasn't there, and he was like, "Oh, who are you?" And he was like asking the question. He was like, "You Newcastle fan?" He's like, "How long you supported the club?" Like proper like interrogating me.
Getting girls.
Like before the game, he was like Jacko. He was like, if we don't win, you ain't coming back and sitting here again. I was like, all right, there now. And then by the end of it, he was like, you could come again. I was like, yeah, I knew you said that.
You should have started speaking Pete. That would have really
confused. Oh my God, no. I'm glad I can't speak it. But there was tension in the air. There was a lot of tension. Jacko, there was another old boy next to me, bless him. I'll talk about him in a little bit. But yeah, it was a little bit of tension there, and then it just erupted again when Dan Burns scored, and it was official. Brilliant stuff all around.
Richie, I know you'll have done your in-depth analysis on the whole VAR the situation, but what did you make of the goal?
But just add, obviously, what Peaks, obviously, he couldn't tell from what was going on. Obviously, originally, it was for offside to start with because the linesman had put the flag up. And then, as that play had gone through and they realised he wasn't offside, that's when they checked the Lascelles handball. But apparently, the ruling is if Lascelles had put it in after, a bit like the one where Gordon had the other week at Sheffield United, where he had the ball, where he laid the ball back to Longstaff, because it wasn't him who scored the goal. On this occasion, it was another passage of play before we scored, so that was why it was allowed to stand. But for me, the one thing that we knew as soon as it was a goal, you could tell from the angle, as Dad said, that there was no way it wasn't over the line, and you were thinking, why is he not? Why is he's watching not gonna hold him? Yeah, you think you can tell. You don't need to have Hawkeye or over the line technology, whatever. You could just tell that it was over the line. And then obviously, so when the ball comes out, and then you say it, and you think, oh, it must have been offside. That's why he hasn't given the goal. But what if you put the picture up with Dan Burn, and you had it before, Daz, and it doesn't actually show how good a jump he was, because there's another picture that's been doing the round, and he's actually level with. He gets above and he gets level with the crossbar. And now I know he's a tall lad and stuff, but still to be able to jump with that much power and to go above your defender and be level with the crossbar, that takes something to do. But this is what happens when you've got Geordies in your team at St James's Park at home, who knows what it's like for Newcastle to be the Champions League the first time. He made every single effort to get that ball over the defender. He was not letting that defender. That was his ball. That was his moment to double Newcastle's lead, and he put everything on the line. And I think he saw the reaction when he got it. He was thinking, how on earth is that not being given? You see, even that, he's still pretty tall, yeah, but he's more horizontal at the time then. But when he actually took, he takes it, he's actually, his head's level with the
Superman style.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I did see on the round, and I didn't know if you put this on. Can you remember the old Honey Monster video? It was, yes, that was doing the round today, and everyone was saying it was Dan Burn and stuff like that. It was, I just thought, I wouldn't surprise if Daz had dug it out and put it on tonight. It was just, but look, seriously, I think the only thing that dampened it was how long it took to actually award the goal. And I'm just so pleased that when it did get announced the goal, that Dan Burn didn't, the euphoria was still there, because sometimes it has that dampening effect where you think, oh, well, you've lost the momentum and the moment's gone. He didn't let the moment go, and the rest of the team didn't do that as well. And obviously the 52,000 capacity didn't let him not do it either. It was just phenomenal to watch. And he comes up with big goals, does Dan Burn. Big Dan Burn comes up with big Dan Burn goals as well. He's done it at the Leicester game, obviously last night. He did it against Brighton when we needed to, put us on the line for qualifying for the Champions. He's got some really huge goals for us, and I couldn't have been more pleased from last night. I really, really couldn't.
I'm going to come to you next, Chris, and Dan Burn score. But I watched Keith Downey's video earlier, and Keith Downey says that every time Dan Burn scores, Sean Longstaff scores. So at halftime, he put a bet on Sean Longstaff to score next 25-1. He got. Wow. It's a nice one, Keith Downey. And he cleaned up with that. Yeah, I knew you'd like that. Yeah. But you happy with Big Dan Burn's goal?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I mean, we've all been crying out for Dan Burn to, get his head, on the ball in the box more. You know what I mean? Like, for his height and the fact that he is, pretty decent in the air, he should really be kind of scoring more goals. I know, he got that fantastic goal, didn't he? Against Sheffield United, really, really good goal, and then he follows it up then with the, this brilliant goal, last night. And I think with Dan Burn, he's taking risks more. Someone in the chat wrote just earlier, that our defenders are really starting to get involved now in the goals, and it's great to see. Kieran Trippier was flying the flag at the start, but now, the centre-backs are getting involved as well, and I was delighted for Dan Burn, absolutely delighted for them. In terms of the goal itself, I couldn't believe how long it was taking, and it's funny because we were watching at home, Pete, and obviously we had all the commentators and stuff, filling us in and telling us what's going on. And it was funny because I knew straight away it crossed the line because I could tell from the way that Donnarumma was like, he was too far back for it to have not crossed the line. And then Bruno looked onside to me, and Jermaine Genius, I think it was, he was saying, in the commentary, he looks onside. It looks like the left foot's keeping him onside. Then we saw that replay, and then we're thinking, what's holding this goal up? What are they looking for? And then we saw Jamal Lascelles jump up in the box, and he heads it down, and I think it hits his arm. But as we all know, different passage of play, and obviously it wasn't intentional, and his arm was down. He headed it down, and it hit his arm. So I don't really know why it took so long, if I'm honest. But I'm absolutely delighted. And again, I was equally in shock because I was thinking, oh my God, we're 2-0 up against PSG here, and it was still so early in the game. So it was a brilliant goal, and I'm just made up it was Dan Burn as well, because we know that will have meant that little bit more as well. The fact that he scored and he's a local lad.
Definitely love it.
Right, we've got so much more to get through. Let's go out and move on. But before we got to halftime, both PSG fullbacks were on yellow cards. So they had some corners towards the end of the half, but we got to halftime 2-0 up, thinking, wow. What is happening here? But anyway, we move on into the second half, and we didn't have long to wait into that second half because Trips plays a delightful ball, lovely pass into the box for Longstaff, who smashed it home. 3-0. Yes, we're not dreaming. 3-0 Newcastle at this stage. Longstaff wheels away with his celebration as well. But Richie, we'll go to you. What did you make of Longstaff's goal?
Do you know what? When you were first breaking through, I'm shouting, pull it back, because I think it was Isak was in a perfect central position for the ball to be pulled back. And I saw him take the shot on, and I thought it's going to be tough to beat. As Pete said before, Donnarumma's a big goalkeeper. He fills a lot of the goal, and it's going to take a lot to beat him from that angle, especially 1-on-1. But I tell you what, it's a cracking finish. It was going to go right in the bottom corner, and I know that Donnarumma there was a lot of people giving him a bit of gypsy. He should have done better, but if a shot that low down, bear in mind he's such a big lad, to get down that low to a shot hit that hard by Longstaff, because we know that Sean Longstaff can get some power behind these shots. He's not going to. It's going to be really, really hard for him to keep it out, which it proved. And I don't really care after that. It's another one of those things where another local lad who's grown up, a few miles down the road, black and white pouring through his veins, puts 3-0 up on PSG. It's just, you could never have dreamt it any better. And, you've got to look at the journey that Longstaff's had over the last few years. 3 years ago, he was potentially his way to Chris's team, down the road from him. Do you know what I mean? And for a knockdown price and stuff like that. And it's we're talking now about how we appreciate how when we've bigged Sean Longstaff up quite a lot of time. We've said how our midfield doesn't tick without Sean Longstaff, and I think last night's display, the way he was part of that midfield. Bear in mind, you've got Bruno and Tonali, who are probably two of the world's best or up and coming centre midfielders in the world. To play in that three, to get that reward last night, put him on the world map as a star, not just a Premier League star, which even some fan bases would probably turn on and say they wouldn't class him as one. But when you see him,
that's why Gareth Southgate is probably one of those. Go on.
To be fair, I don't even think he's known Trippier for years from when he was at Spurs, so that's probably the reason why he picks Trippier. To be fair, because Pope's now out the window. He's not looking at Longstaff. He's not looking at Anthony Gordon. Who, to be fair, Gordon should be in that squad all day long, especially when you've got one of the games as a friendly. Do you know what I mean? This is when you want to be testing up all your talent. And I think that's the shocking thing about the Anthony Gordon one in particular is the fact that he's come through the under-21 system. He knows how England want to play through the England DNA. So for him to keep getting knocked back, it's a bit of a scandal, to be fair. But going back to Longstaff, couldn't be happier for the lad. As I said, his journey over the last 3 years is, from one extreme to the other. You know, he said at the end of in his interviews, obviously, I don't know whether Pete saw that because obviously he might have been travelling back down, but you know, he said that there's a few of those lads that were on that pitch last night were on the way out of the club and thought the careers at St James's were over, and you could see that they were really upset about that, but it made them appreciate everything that they're going through now because they've been through the lows of the lows like we have as supporters, but now they're going through the highs of the highs. They're getting the benefit of being the players and delivering that for us while we're still feeling the highs of the high. But I tell you what, man, I said this to the Ben, I said 3-0. I still wasn't like resting my laurels because you're playing PSG. And then obviously after this, we would obviously the Hernandez pulls one back, and I said to the Ben, because if it had been 3-0 at 80 minutes, I'd have been done and dusted. But 3-0 at 50 minutes, can't relax.
Well, we're going to get to that, Richie. But at this stage, we're 3-0 up. Keith Downey's the happiest man in St James's Park. Sean Longstaff is the second happiest man there. And there's a man that's seen a goal scored right in front of him. He's the other two are up there in the pitch. Pete, what did you make of Sean Longstaff's goal right in front of you?
I lost my phone and my keys again.
I'm
not gonna lie. I didn't have zip pockets. I lost my phone and my keys again. I actually lost my phone on the Almiron goal, and it kind of halfway through the celebration, I had to go. I was normally I hold my pockets, and I didn't on my right hand side, and it went. And so I was like having to search for my phone. It went down the back of my seat, grabbed it, and then just carried on going mad. For the Longstaff one, I lost both. Like they were both like either side of me. I was just going mad. I was like, I'll find them in a minute. I was just like, I might not be able to get home, but I'll celebrate anyway. It was just a great passage of play. We could see the space, and we could see the space open for Trippier to play that ball for Longstaff. And that ball was on a lot of the game, actually. They just didn't follow their men into the box. Not like we did. We tracked our men really well. They didn't. They let players just run past them, and it was a great little bit of running. And look, Longstaff has said that in previous interviews that Trippier and other players in the squad tell him to do it more often, and he should. He should make those runs because he's dangerous in that position. And it was when he hit it and it came off Donnarumma, we thought it was a bit like the Schar one at the opposite end, where we thought it was in. We thought it was in, but then it went just past the post. And we're like, oh. And then all of a sudden it just rustles up into the net and it just erupted. It was crazy. And he runs to obviously the corner where we are, and the players are just all like obviously jumping on him, and the fist pumps to the fans. It was just amazing. And I have to give a shout out to the other guy next to me. So I had Jacko on my right, and on my left, I don't know the guy's name, but he was with his son. I think his son was his late teens, early 20s. And we were all celebrating, going mad. And I look around, and he's just sat in his chair, and he's just in like tears. He's just like, and I looked, and I put my arm on him and just said, "Are you all right?" And he just said, like, I can't believe it. Like he just could not believe that we were 3-0 up in this game. And like, it made me emotional, and like I had tears. Like I said to you boys, that I was in bits during the game. Like it just makes you think like this guy was probably in his 50s, maybe even in his 60s, and he's seen some bad times at this club, and to be at this moment it was amazing. Honestly, a very, very emotional time for everybody. There was just at that point in the game, everyone's just looking at each other, arms out, like, what are we seeing right now? What are we experiencing right now? Honestly, it was
what has happened? It's broken. The matrix is broken. Chris, what was happening in Liverpool at this point? Was the vape machine going mad?
Mate, it was nearly blowing up. I had my head on my hands. I think it was actually after the Longstaff goal, and I was just like, I can't believe this. Sounds similar to the fellow who was on Pete's left. I didn't cry last night. I filled up, but I never cried. But I at 3-0, I was just like, I can't believe this is happening. I literally can't believe this is happening. You know, I think I've reminisced with Pete. Was it earlier today, Pete? I think I messaged you saying, like, you know, I've been to so many away grounds, so many home games, and you turn up and you support your team and whatever, and you've always kind of thinking, aren't you? Oh, we're gonna get bastards today. Like we're probably gonna play crap. We're probably gonna get bastards, but you still go anyway. It's like you've got to go. And you know, watching us recently has been surreal. Last season was incredible, but this season, like some of the performances, you just like, I just can't get over it. And last night, none more so. But yeah, a fantastic goal from Sean Longstaff. He did really well. You know, it's right that he should get forward more. I do believe that he does sacrifice himself in terms of doing a job for the team, which we've spoken about previously. And it's interesting because I know a lot of people now are, you know, saying, oh, you know, maybe having Sean Longstaff in this team is good. You know, maybe, you know, he is underrated, and us lads have spoken about it numerous times. You know, we've said that our team is better balanced with Sean Longstaff in that midfield. And sometimes it's not your best players that you want to play. It's the players who make the team balanced and make the team, you know, work effectively. And that is what Sean Longstaff is to us. He's integral to this team at the minute. And, you know, long may it continue. But in terms of the goal, you know, the ball comes across to him, darts forwards, and he does what you're taught from a very, very young age: hit it hard and get it on target, because the ball can ricochet out, you get a corner, and you might even get a goal. And that's exactly what Sean Longstaff got. And I was delighted. And I think it was at that moment I was thinking to myself, we've got a bloody good chance of winning this now. Like Richie, it's not over, but I was thinking we've put ourselves in a fantastic position. So at 3-0, yeah, I was buzzing, and I think it was then I started to believe, you know, we could win this now. We could win this. Just before we move on, Daz, Chippy for Prime Minister's come up with a fantastic comment here, and I just want Pete to see it. He's saying, let's have a whip round and get Pete a handbag for his birthday. Get him a little man bag for his keys and his phone.
Yeah, you know the one the Rock has, the one picture of the Rock.
Come out from the chat before we have to get Pete a man bag for his birthday. But actually, go back to what you said about the atmosphere. Obviously, both me and Chris have mentioned it about the 3-0 and still not being relaxed and stuff. Obviously, Daz, I know you mentioned it your bit, but I want to know what Pete thought about and what was the atmosphere in the stadium at 3-0. Was it so euphoric that you didn't give that a thought, or were you more concerned that damn, these could still get back into it? It's not over yet. What was it like in the ground?
Honestly, I've never heard an atmosphere like it. At 3-0, everyone's singing, everyone's dancing, everyone's backing the players, because it wasn't long after that 3-0 that I think we put another tackle in, and there's another fist pump, and everyone's up for it again. And it never kind of was like, we're 3-0, we're comfortable, we're going to win this game. Nobody certainly around us, and it didn't feel like that in the stadium. Nobody felt like it was done, and everyone was still right. We need to keep working. We need to keep pressing. We need to keep doing the job that we've been doing for God knows at that point. What was it, 50 something minutes? At that point, we need to keep doing what we're doing. So every ball was being kicked by the fans. Every tackle, every time we put it even out for a throw, there was a come on. Like honestly, the amount of times that we saw it from the players, but every time we did the old kind of come on, like the fans were doing it back to the players. I've never done it so much in my life. Like we were all doing it together. It was like we were all in the fight. Like, so it wasn't like we thought that the game was done. Equally, I don't think that we felt like they could get back in it, because we were just playing so well, and we just wanted the players to keep doing what they were doing, because it was still early. You boys have already talked about it. It was still early in the game. So it was, like you said, I think you might have said it, Richie, like if it was at 80 minutes, I think we would have had like party mood, everyone high-fiving and all the rest of it, because we would have thought the game was done. Because it was still early, there was still a little bit of nervousness there. So it was like, keep going, don't give up, don't sit on your laurels. And maybe, in my mind, I kind of had Liverpool in the back of my mind. Like, you don't want to be...
I had Man City from last season in my head at the same time. That's
and
how I had...
It was like that. Like you can 100% use both games as an example. Like, you don't want to feel too comfortable just in case something comes back to kind of haunt you late on. And that was kind of the feeling that we had. And so if anything, the 3-0 raised us again, not just because we scored the goal, but don't let things slip, keep going, kind of thing. It was that type of atmosphere.
Right. Richie, you could be the only one that wants to talk about this. We'll bring it up for you. We have to mention it. PSG scored a goal. Lucas Hernandez took it to 3-1. Went to VAR. There's an offside check. The goal stood. He beat the offside trap. Our clean sheet was broken. But you want to say anything about that goal? I don't. Forget about it. Let's move on. Right. Sub on the 46 minutes. Tonali off. Anderson on. 68 minutes. Dembele got away from Byrne. But Lascelles put in a brilliant tackle to just put him off his shot, really. And then 70 minutes. Miggy off. Murphy on. 76 minutes. Pope saved from a Dembele, a quick shot that he took. 80 minutes. Byrne header from a trips free kick was straight at the keeper. On the 90th minute, here we go. This is a beauty. This one. Schar with a wonder goal. He wins the ball in the tackle. Lovely 1-2 with Murphy. And then just sticks it in the top bins. Cue the celebration. Newcastle 4-1 up against PSG in our first game at home in the Champions League in 20 years. Dreamland. Right in that corner as well, Pete, where you are. But I'm going to go to Chris first. And also, right in that corner where Paulie Slater, who's in the chat as well, is, and he had the Irish Mags flag in the corner. I saw it on display when the goal went in. But Chris, what did you make of that one?
I was just about to do it, mate, and he done it as well. He done it, and as the goal went in, I thought, Pete's going to be at St. James's doing it. Daz will be doing it. Rich will be doing it. We're all just going like that. Oh, mate. It was just. And you know what? I didn't give it the credit it deserved at first, because when it went in, I was just buzzing and obviously made up. And then they showed the replay, and the fact that he wins the ball back so high up the pitch. So he's on what minute was this, Daz? Was this like
90th minute?
90th minute. Bloody hell, I thought it was like 88. 90th minute, he's pressing to go and win the ball back high up the pitch. He gets it. Little 1-2, still looking for it, receives it back. And then when you watch the replay as well, it's brilliant, because just as he's approaching the ball, he has a little look up and goes, yeah, I fancy that. And then just hits it. And then as he goes to hit it, he's fallen. And he just shapes his body and curls his foot round it. Brilliant. And I had this, you'll love this, and it just shows what we're dealing with. I had my blue mate onto me because he was watching it, and he was like, "Oh, another lucky goal. He never meant that." And I was like, "Lads, what are you on about?
Schar.
What are you on about?" At this point, I told him to get to bed. And he's just.
I would have said, "Get in the championship, mate. Get in the championship,
mate." Honestly, he's like, "Yeah, another lucky goal. He never meant it." And like the replay, you see him heading towards the ball. He has a little look up at the goal and then just bends it. It was a brilliant goal. And Fabian Schar, completely deserved it. The commentator was saying, obviously, he's played Champions League football before. He's now coming back with Newcastle. And it capped off a magnificent performance from Fabian Schar. I just thought he was brilliant. Keeping out one of the world's best players. Just fantastic, absolutely fantastic, and made up for him. And yeah, obviously all this was going on as well. It was just great.
Richie, Schar's goal, our £3.5 million signing from Deportivo La Coruña, being the talk of comparisons to Albert now as well today. Got bruised for a while as well, must be noted. But what did you make of the goal?
To be fair, there's been a lot of fans of Schar on this channel from day one. We all appreciated that.
Yeah,
he was a good player. You could see it when Rafa was there. he was a different player under Rafa and Bruce. But I just wanted to bring up Rich Jobbins' comment here because I think this summed up everything, and it's a fantastic comment. Schar press and win the ball in the final third and 91st minute epitomised our whole performance. The effort he put in to get that ball when he saw it going out. Some people might turn around and say it's risky diving in from that far if you're potentially the last man up there, because if he misses it, then it's a counter. With the people in that PSG you've got in that forward line, it's really dangerous. But he only did it because he knew he could do it. He knew he could get that ball. He was 100% sure, and that goal was all about Schar's hard work. We know he loves to. He's a fantastic ball carrying centre half. And after that win, obviously, even before he laid it off to Murphy, I think he had that thought in the back of my mind. I'm going to have a crack here. But obviously, he got closed down in the first end, which is why he went to Murphy. And then Murphy had the presence just to think, you know what, I'm going to tee him up. And it was a lovely little well-paced layoff for him. And I just thought he's going to hit it. It's going to be like the Forest one again, isn't it? It's going to be one of them ones where it's just, I think all of us, we were all there for the Forest one, weren't we? When the opening game last season. It was that's right, yeah. And I just thought it's going to be one of those occasions again. And I saw his foot slip, and I thought, oh, it's going to go to Buddy Rosetti because how on earth he managed to get his foot around it, keep it down with that much placement, and that it was top bins. Look, post stamp all day long with his standing legs slipping. That seriously, that's one hell of a finish. And there was some fantastic goals like that, and it literally just put the cherry on the top of that performance last night. It put the cherry on the top of that Eiffel Tower and that PSG logo. That's what that did. Little black and white flag waving on the top of the Eiffel Tower. That's what's going to happen when we go over there in a few weeks.
Yeah, just to add to what you've said then, like technically, Fabian Schar's brilliant. As a footballer, he's absolutely brilliant. Like, he's not only is he a good defender, but he brings the ball out and he's passing. And it's no surprise. I know at the back end of last season, we were all speaking and saying that, eventually we'll have to bring in a replacement for Fabian Schar. And I've got no doubt that we will. But I tell you what, it's going to have to be some bloody replacements because he's
more than 3.5 million.
Puts his body on the line and he's just so comfortable on the ball. He's like the right-sided version of Sven Botman, and I just wish Fabian Schar was like the same age as Sven Botman, because if he was, it'd be petrifying. Because he just, as he's getting older, he's just getting better and better and better, and he's been absolutely brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Sven Botman, was he the lad who used to play before the Settles came on the scene and blew him out of the water? Now, there's a lad in the stand here that we have to go and talk about. He's already lost his keys. He's already lost his phone. Did you lose your mind when Schar made it 4-1?
When you listen to when you see the video that I've sent to you, Dad,
which we'll put out as a fan cam. Actually, we'll put it out. Try and send it out as a fan cam.
I'm just screaming. I think I'm just screaming. I think at one point I'm like, oh my god, like what have I just seen? It was just unbelievable. What a strike! What one of the top Champions League goals that you're going to see probably this season. Just amazing. Interestingly, I don't know if you guys remember, there was a Dembele ball through where he puts it wide because Lascelles comes over and presses really well. He was a man mountain that game yesterday. He comes over and narrows the angle, and I look at Schar and I'm like, "Where's Schar?" And he was. To me, it seemed like he was out of position, but he was instructed to press the ball high up, and he did so again. Exactly what you boys have just said. Great tackle, risk tackle, made it work. But that finish, if you look at it from behind the goal, the way he hits it, the ball is actually set like outside of the post. Yeah, it's outside of the post and it whips in, and that's the only reason why it beats Donnarumma. And only someone of Schar's caliber can score a goal like that. He hits those balls all the time. Like you think of the type of goals like that he scored. Forest is the example that Burnley, he did it years before that.
He just likes that postage stamp corner. That's all it is.
Yeah, but any player that scores those type of goals, they will say that when you hit the ball initially, you hit it if you're aiming outside of the post and whip the ball round, because that way, by the time it whips round, it's so far into the corner that the goalkeeper can't get there. Now, Donnarumma is at full stretch into that corner. He's at full stretch. Like we said, he's a big guy. He gets himself his crosses. His footwork's good. He gets himself across. But the only area of the goal that he can't get to is the area. It's a perfect goal. It is the perfect, the top bins goal that you can ask for. And to do that in the 90th minute, when you've ran yourself into the ground, when you've blocked everything that's come into the box, when you've headed everything out, like Fabian Schar, Chris, I think you've just mentioned it, or Chris, or Richard, I can't remember who one of you just mentioned it. It's going to take a hell of a player to replace him. It might have been yourself, Chris. At times, we question Schar because of his pace, and then he puts performances in like that, and you go, how the fuck are we going to replace him? How are we going to get a player that not only defends like his life depends on it every single game, and he's so he's great with a tackle, but he's great with the last ditch tackle, which is not easy for a defender. That's a skill. That's not learned. Being able to be last ditch, he can do it all, and to be so good on the ball, switch play, amazing. To score goals like that, that's hard to live up to.
He's a baller. He's a baller.
Yeah, he is. He's a baller.
He's an all-round. He's what, 31 right now? Maybe 32. I can't remember which one. Like, if he was 5 years younger, how much would he cost in today's market? I'm telling you, Man City would be after him.
Do you remember what the shocking thing is as well, Lord Pete? He's not even getting in the Swiss starting lineup. And I just don't understand how.
That's only because of his age. That's only because of his age. They're kind of weaning him out. In my opinion, I might be wrong. They're weaning him out right now. It might be
they're not the same international team without Schar, you know. They're not the same.
I'm happy with it.
Oh yeah.
I'll be honest. I couldn't care less about Switzerland. I wanted to
remain neutral, Pete.
It's like last season.
Just the one that don't care about England.
Hey, I have to do it every day.
It's like last season, isn't it? You know, when we went through that spell where Joe Linton was making those pressing runs and we were talking about them, and Schar was just finding them 40, 50, 60-yard balls. He just pings them effortlessly. And I'm sure it was against West Ham.
The West Ham one where it was a low ball, wasn't it? It was like a dart all the way through.
Yeah, and the way he hit it, there wasn't even any bend on it. It was just like driven, but it was at the perfect height for Joe Linton, who fantastic touch. Joe Linton to bring it down and then bury it. And then we had, the commentators. I forget who they were at the time. It was Jamie Redknapp and somebody else, and they were like, "Oh yeah, it was a bit of a hopeful, bit of a lucky ball." And you think, do you not watch us week in, week out? He does that every week, and I'm sure a week or two later, he did exactly the same thing, and exactly the same thing happens. That's how good Fabian Schar is.
Do you know what? It's funny you mention that because the first centre back I can ever remember doing that was Ruud Gullit in his heyday. He could be like that deep lying centre back, and he could spray the ball all over. He got raved about it. You've got Fabian Schar. He just doesn't get the credit he deserves. He really, really doesn't. To be able to do Ruud Gullit sort of passes like that, and it's only the Newcastle fan base I'd appreciate him, because I don't know, it's shocking that he doesn't get the credit he deserves as a player. As I said before, he's a complete nut of baller. He really, really is. He doesn't get the credit he deserves.
And Donald there. Daz, you're all over this. He throws himself into everything.
Oh, he does, yeah. Every time he goes down. Actually, just to end on Schar, we have to go up. Sexy football. There.
Charles got his own emoji now at chat, though, hasn't he, Daz?
Sorry? Yeah, Every time he goes down, they're the bandage in the head, Schar, bandage in the head. I think then we have a chance. But look, that took us to full time. 4-1 Newcastle. Looking back to 2 years ago, where were we? Jamie Rubin put this out. Second bottom in the Premier League in October 2021 to where we are today. That'll be 2 years ago, around the time of your birthday, Pete, to 2 years now later to where we are now. Absolutely amazing. And look where we are, top of the group of death. Top of the group on 4 points, sitting pretty at the moment with Dortmund up next. And that shall be another home game. Very, very interesting. But, of course, we have to have one of these, the group shot. And you see everyone's in there. You have Joe Willock, you have Callum Wilson, you have Joe Linton as well. You have everyone in there celebrating, and why not? What a performance! One that will live long in the memory. That was the game, lads. Anthony, you want to say to finish it off on the game?
Do you know what? I want to ask you, get yours opinion on this, because it was something that Schar Given mentioned last night, that we all remember the Barcelona game in '97 when we won 3-2, and it's like the 5-0 against Man United as well when we beat them in the entertainers. He said that game will get talked about for years to come, right? And I think it will. But I just want to think, because of the trajectory Newcastle are on now and what's forecast potentially for Newcastle in the future, do you think this game will get as much talked about as like the Barcelona wanted in the future, because it might just be, going forward, another one of those games? What do you think of that?
I see where you're going with this. I think it will live long into the future, but I'm hoping that we won't have to wait 20 years for another one. I think there'll be more on the corner, but because it's the first one as well, and everything that means against PSG and Mbappe, but we didn't even mention Mbappe in the show. This is the first time we mentioned him, which is nuts. So yeah, it will live long, Richie, I think, but I'm hoping that we can trump it again.
You're on mute, Pete.
Sorry about that. I was talking to Mrs. earlier. I agree. I actually think for various different reasons, I think it trumps the Barcelona game for what it means to this club. I think everything around it was. I think there's some similarities, injuries, players missing, but the team's still performing against a fantastic team. On top of that, I just think everything around the takeover, everything you guys have just mentioned, the atmosphere, everything being there when people think that we probably shouldn't be there, we're there earlier than expected, but yet doing that on the biggest stage of them all, I'd probably put it above that. But I'll just mention, because a few people have asked, I will shoot in a minute or two. That some people have mentioned about Lee. That I got a voice note from Lee, but I didn't listen to it until I got in the car and I was on the way back home. Because I tried to go and see him after the game and like speak to him, but they obviously got the away fans get kept behind in Europe. So they were kept behind for about 30 minutes, but that was like 30 minutes after we left, and we didn't leave for at least 25 minutes, maybe 30 after the game. So they were there for a while, and the stewards wouldn't let us in, wouldn't let me go and kind of wait for them, because obviously the concerns about the PSG fans and stuff. But Lee's put something, I think, he put it in there, well deserved, fantastic performance, tore PSG to shreds, but it's exactly what he said. He said, PSG didn't turn up, but that's because Newcastle was so good. He was like, never experienced an atmosphere like it at St. James's Park before. He'd not been back since the early 2000s, so it was amazing for him to go back. And my nephew, he's 18 now, or nearly 18. He'd never been to St. James's Park, and he absolutely loved it. I have sent him a message and said,
is he coming to join us?
There's still time. I did say that, there's still time. And I got the He told me where to go. He's like his dad. He's a Paris boy, but they absolutely, like said, the atmosphere was amazing. And actually, the guy that went with him, Julian, really, really nice guy. PSG ultra. He couldn't believe the atmosphere. I think from what Lee said, and he might correct me on this, he said he turned to Lee after a few minutes and he was like, what is this? Like, I've not experienced anything like this before. And he's been to many away game across Europe. He was like, wow, like this is crazy. So for a Paris fan to experience that at St. James's Park says everything. But Lee said, look, we deserved the game. He was like you guys, meaning us, we worked, we were better than them, we fought better than them, we played better than them, and we fully deserved the win. There is no complaints there whatsoever. So as I expected, he's a football man. He knows the score. He supports the team, but he gives yeah, there you go. He knows, like I say, he knows his stuff. He knows when a team is superiorly better than the other, and that's what we proved tonight. But
just before you go, Pete, obviously, and I'll ask you lads as well, but obviously I'll let Pete answer it first, because obviously I know he wants to go. Just obviously, there was something that I heard on the radio a bit today, and it was that we beat PSG, but we didn't beat a good PSG because it wasn't the PSG of the last few years have had Neymars and Messi's and all that sort of thing. But for me, what was more annoying than that is the fact that they didn't give Newcastle the credit for the players that we had missing as well, because obviously we had half our first team out. And as we've already discussed as well, there's 3/4 of that team were playing under Steve Bruce.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And we're on the way out. Why aren't we getting the credit? Why is it always the national media putting us down for beating an average PSG, not the go-getters of the last few years? Why do we never get the positive media that we should after last night? I thought, to be fair, I thought the TNT coverage last night I thought was fantastic regards to Newcastle. I thought they were absolutely brilliant in it. It bigged up Newcastle as being an English team in Europe. Like, I think the Champions League shows should be on those channels. But then you go to the national media, and obviously there was all a few journalists lowering the tone again last night when obviously we were so euphoric and making out about the other stuff that we know goes on because of the Middle East and the Saudi and the Qatari regimes and all that sort of stuff. But just going back to the football side of it, did it not annoy you that when you hear this national media belittling or trying to belittle how good our performance actually was last night?
For me, I'm hardened to it now, Richie. I don't really care.
It just still pisses me off. That's all. Like
I get it. I get it. I don't expect it. I'm not being funny. I kind of like it. I like being the ones that they don't like, because when we win, we can kind of shove it in their faces a little bit more. So that's the way I've gone now. I've gone from being angry and frustrated and pissed off, like many Newcastle fans, like yourself to a certain extent, Richie. But for me now, I've gone the other way. I've gone, well, yeah. Look, let's face it, lads. If they can't write anything positive about that night, last night, then they've got an agenda. It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Like there was the guys on Sky Sports that do the paper show.
Yeah.
And there's one of them that writes for, is it Samuel something? He writes for
Sam Wallace. It was Sam Wallace.
Yeah, Sam Wallace, that's the one. He does a lot of stuff for like Man United and all the big clubs. And they're asking him questions, and he's literally praising Newcastle, but he's literally stone-faced, doing it through gritted teeth. And I come back from driving and I put the Sky on, and I was just laughing because I just thought it was hilarious that you cannot not praise Newcastle for that, but he's literally doing it through gritted teeth. You can tell he hates every word that he's saying, and for me, that makes me smile. That makes me happy. It really, really does. Like I have to be fair. People like TalkSport. Listen to TalkSport on the way home. Like, so Jason Cundy, that's not really very, very positive towards Newcastle at all. Him and the other one,
Jamie O'Hara. wasn't it,
Jamie
last night?
O'Hara.
O'Hara, they were kind of, they were really big in Newcastle up and giving us our flowers, which we fully deserve. I don't expect all national journalists, because they're given agendas, to write good pieces, bad pieces about Newcastle. But the most important thing is, like you said, the likes of TNT, the ones that Michael Richards and Jamie Carragher on, is it CBS? The ones that Jonathan Johnson works for and Ben Jacobs used to work for, they were absolutely quality. Like, they were properly invested in Newcastle. And they're the ones I care about. They're the ones I care about, the ones that have given us our flowers, that actually see Newcastle for what we are now. Those negative ones are always going to write negative stories, in my opinion. But I'm just before I go, I'm going to shoot. Man of the match. I'm not necessarily going to give a man of the match, because I'm giving all of the boys 11, in my opinion. I just think I couldn't not give them all
11 for me as well.
The ratings that they deserve.
Not for me. Not for me.
I'm going to give
well,
shout.
No, mine go to Bruno, a 39.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. But I'm going to give shout outs. Jamal Lascelles, outstanding. That boy, right, who's come in for arguably our best centre back, he has been sensational.
Yeah,
he has worked hard in the background. He's not moaned. He's got on with the job. He's lost the captaincy to a point for Trippier, but he was superb last night alongside Fabian Schär. We're wax lyrical about Fabian Schär, rightly so. He was sensational. Jamal Lascelles, wow. For a player that we wanted out not long ago, he has developed his game. He's invested into Eddie Howe, and he, alongside many others, has improved. He hasn't played as many games, but he's massively improved. Bruno Guimaraes, that's probably the best performance I've seen him play for Newcastle.
Unreal.
Remember Daz, Lee talked about Ugarte?
Yes. And when he doesn't have the ball, it's war. That's what he said.
Bruno pocketed him all day, all night. He was sensational. The risk football that he played, I swear to you, the risk football he played, the twists and turns in difficult positions and opened up space, like that guy was on a different level. And I'm going to give props to someone that we might not necessarily talk about too much, but I thought he was sensational in his role, and it's Alexander Isak. I thought he was superb. He's learning that back to goal pressing game that's really not really part of his game, but he has really learned that. And he gave himself to the cause. He obviously had the bandage, he cut himself, he carried on playing, he was a warrior. The high press, he set the tone for that alongside Anthony Gordon and Miggy. He helped get the first goal. And yes, he didn't score, but I tell you what, he did a hell of a job for the team. And I could see around 85 minutes, he was spent, he was done. If Wilson was fit and ready, he'd have been off. But he carried on Trojan and he carried on working. So I'm giving my shout outs to those three players in particular. There were others that I'm sure you guys will talk about, but I just thought they were three players that really kind of stood out for me, that had really good games in their own right. But
before you go, Pete, because you talked about giving flowers there the other day, so I thought it was a perfect link in to what's happening tomorrow. And we have to give flowers to one chap tomorrow, and I hope he gives us them back in return. But it's this guy who's on tomorrow at 9 p.m. So one to watch tomorrow. It's Mr. Dan Lawless, back for a win. Is
he is back, and he's really looking forward to coming on with us. He's got a busy night because obviously they play tonight and they're doing their show tomorrow. But he was like, "Look, I want to come on." Yeah, I've not even seen the result, but I knew there were 2-1 up.
There.
So no doubt they'll be waxing lyrical. But he did drop a message. He was really respectful. He said it was an amazing win for Newcastle, and fair play to all of us. So I'm sure he will say the same tomorrow. Respect to him, but of course he's gonna be shameless. He's gonna be shameless at some point. You know,
expect nothing less. And the last time we had him on, he was under the weather. He had the flu, so he'll be off firing on all cylinders now.
He will.
The
Definitely.
conference
Should be a
champion.
good one. Really good. Looking forward to it. And so is he. So should be a cracking one.
Good one. Nice one. Pete, if you need to rock on, enjoy the rest of your birthday.
I'm sure, boys, absolute pleasure to be on with you to talk about that tonight. Love it. Love it. Everyone in the chat. We haven't said it. We've had nearly 300 in the chat tonight. Everyone click the like, sub, do what you need to do. Come and support the channel. Get us towards 7K. Boys, I'm out. Thank you. You've made my birthday, along with my wife, a very special one. She's got the food ready.
Evening, Keisha.
I'm going to go. She's there. She's waving, but you can't see her. But I'm going to go.
Where's my FIFA? Or whatever it's called now.
FC24. I'm going to bust this later on. Can't wait. Take care, boys.
Good night, mate. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, mate. Take care.
Legends.
Right, lads. Who are you having as your man of the match? Because we're not doing ratings. We did them already. We'll give them off the scale. For me, it's so hard to pick a man of the match, but I'm going to go for Bruno. I decided last night I was going to give it to Bruno. I just thought he's back. He's back to his best, and he was really a shining light last night. There's so many. There's Schar. There's so everyone. They were all absolutely immense. But I'm going to go for Bruno. Richie, who are you going for?
Do you know what? I completely agree. There was just so many that you could give man of the match to last night. I was actually surprised that Miggy got awarded, because obviously we saw him with the trophy and the videos and stuff last night. And because for me, I thought there was so many players that were, don't get me wrong, Miggy had a fantastic game, but I thought there was still a few that were just literally above him. And I think I've got to agree with Bill Ashby. I think Fabian Schar just last night, I thought, that along with the whole back four, realistically, that the front four that they've got is an exceptional front four. And to pretty much keep them to 2 Dembele chances, really, that weren't even on target. It's that's a hell of a performance. But I just think, as we mentioned before, the fact that effort he showed in the 90th minute to press, win the ball back, it just epitomised the whole Newcastle performance, let alone his performance. So I'd have to give it to Fabian Schar. It's not often we give it to Fabian Schar, so I think it's a good chance to give it to Schar.
Give it a Schar. Chris, are you wiggling your finger like Richie and giving it to Schar?
I was literally going to use exactly the same line as Richie. I was going to say I agree with Bill. I now agree with Yano. And I also agree with Yano. There's someone else who said it, and I also agree with Richie. Yeah, Fabian Schar. I thought he was outstanding. Although, as a few people have pointed out, there was a good number of candidates tonight. I don't disagree with you, Daz. I thought Bruno was incredible. Pete mentioned it was one of his best games in a Newcastle shirt, and I can't disagree with that. Loads of people in the chat here are saying Bruno. A few people said Sean Longstaff. I think he's definitely worth a shout. Miggy obviously got it. The list is endless. You could argue Jamal Lascelles. I mean, he's not played all that much football in the last 2 years, and then he comes and does that. So yeah, for me it was Fabian Schar, but lots of fantastic performances.
I think two talking points for me, obviously, Dad. I know I'll just get your opinions on this, but it was I think the talk about Jamal Lascelles, for example, right? For the start, we've heard a lot of talk from Eddie over since the start of last season. Well, pretty much since the takeover has come through and he's lost his place. That he's a fantastic player in the dressing room. He's a leader and all that sort of stuff. But it's good to see that obviously what they're working on a training pitch on a day-to-day basis, he's benefiting from as well, because when he has come in, he's never let the team down. He looks a completely different player than what he was at other times in his Newcastle career. And we've all been crying out for a replacement for Schar. Is this a reason why we haven't jumped the gun and replaced, brought in another right centre back because of how well Lascelles developed the background that we have? Because obviously you look at Schar and Longstaff and Miggy, and they've been playing every week, so we've seen their development under Eddie's coaching. We haven't really seen Lascelles as, development under Eddie Howe, because he hasn't been on the pitch that often. But now we're getting to see how much he's developed, thanks to Eddie's coaching. But the second part of the question, obviously, you can answer both things. Did anybody else find the instant regards Nick Pope last night quite hilarious, because it's been a talk and a point in our household for a long time about Nick Pope's appalling dead ball kicking. And then there was a spate last night in the last 10 minutes where he had the
it was
ball,
going everywhere.
the ball at the far corner, and every time he was putting it out onto the left touchline. And I said to Christopher, I said, Chris, I can't believe it. It's hit out, the stand again. And the third time it happened, it cut to Eddie Howe on the sideline, and you even could tell what he mouthed, and it was "fuck me," and you just. I'll put it a bit more politely, but with Chris, it was more like demon. You could see on Eddie Howe's face, and I think it also goes back to highlight what we've talked about quite a few times in the last few weeks. This is why in the summer we think there's going to be a replacement in the goalkeeping department, because
I agree.
Don't get me wrong, he's a fantastic natural goalkeeper, but he's not what you would have as a goalkeeper nowadays, where you're good with your distribution of your feet. That's really sets him apart from the elite world goalkeepers, in my opinion. I think that could be one of the reasons why he's not in the England squad now, because this season his kicking's been abysmal.
I think we are on the lookout for a keeper in the summer. Just someone to challenge Pope as well, and I'd like to see a younger keeper come in because I think we will change it up. But and the first part of your question, I agree. Okay, on the I don't know what show it was. Someone asked a question about would we give Lascelles extend his contract. At that time, I said no, but now I'm changing my mind. Flip flopping. I don't have a flip flop on, but if I did, I'd like the 12th man. But I would look. He as you say, Richie. He behind the scenes, he's come on leaps and bounds. Like he's been Eddie Howe, so that can only be a good thing. So long may that continue, and if he's happy to sit it out in the background and come on and do the bit and get a run on cup games, great. Yeah, that's for me.
But yeah, I agree. I think, I did notice it, Rich, about Nick Pope, and I'm just thinking, I didn't see that Eddie Howe thing though. I wasn't like that. But yeah, I think eventually we will have to, we'll probably do similar to what Arteta's done at Arsenal, with Ramsdale, where we'll bring in a player to challenge Nick Pope, and then eventually I think we'll see that player take over Nick Pope. And you know what? I'm not bashing him at all. Like I think he's a good goalkeeper, and I think he's somebody who, deserves to be in the squads, and he's someone who I'm happy with. But I do genuinely think that we could improve on him, and we probably do need to. But again, probably for another show, I'm sure. But yeah, I think it's something that we may look to improve on in the future.
Headline: Chris is not bashing the Pope. Good. Or is that Bishop? No, I can't get those mixed up. Right. I think there was something in the chat as well.
Super chat.
That's Richie.
A super chat from Nobby Clark. Nobby, thank you very, very much, mate.
Hey,
very nice of you to donate. Thank you. Schar for me. So Nobby Clark's agreeing with myself and Mitch on that one. Can't believe we beat the champions of England and champions of France in the space of a week. Yeah, it's a great point, man. Nobby, great point. But yeah, it's quite surreal, isn't it? I think there was a picture, Daz, on Twitter. Was it on Twitter? Yeah, I think it was on Twitter, and it showed the last few results. And the results are fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And long may that continue.
Yeah, West Ham up next on Sunday. But yeah, long may it continue. Richie's back with us as well. Welcome back, Richie. Right, let's go to the questions, Chris. What have you got for us?
Yeah, let's have a quick look. So yeah, Daz, that was what you mentioned before. Munch said, "Would you give Lascelles another contract?"
No, I would. After seeing, I thought it was just a once off, but no, it's some work, serious work going on behind the scenes.
Here's a question for you both from Jens Garderson. I wonder if Hugo Ekitike regrets joining PSG instead of us. Do you think he was watching last night? Did he enjoy last night?
Couldn't care less.
Yeah, I think he regrets joining PSG. Full stop. Never mind us. Because it hasn't gone well for him, and there's talk of him potentially Crystal Palace. So that's some change of direction as well.
Jeez,
but,
Tell me about it. Mark Todd, and this is just a highlight to everyone, really. Mark Todd says, if you haven't already, look on TNT Sports and watch the unfiltered Dreamland at St James's Park. Superb footage of the game and the crowd. So anyone who hasn't seen that, thank you for putting that on, Mark. Anyone who hasn't seen that might be worth a watch by the sounds of it. Let's see. Yeah, Rich Dobler makes a good point. It's not really a question, just an observation from Rich, saying Longstaff goal was a prime example of Mbappe not helping the team. Let Trippier just run off him. So, yeah, I think Mbappe looked really fed up last night, didn't he, boys? He looked really, really fed up at one point, and you could tell. I think the commentator said he just doesn't want to be there. It's a great advert for us as a team, as a club, as a city. Anybody watching that, any prospective fan, I mean, fast forward now to January or the summer, and, you've got a player coming in and you're trying to entice him to come and join Newcastle United. There's your coverage from last night. There's your coverage. Who wouldn't want to play at St James's Park like that for nights like that?
Yeah, and to see what Eddie Howe can do to players as well. Like, there's so many examples now of how he's turned around so many careers. So yeah, Mbappe, we can turn things around for you as well if you want.
Daz, you say that, I kept joking that with Chris last night. Every time a Newcastle player was walking over and they goes in, they could appreciate you like this as well, if you like it.
But Mark Pearson says Tonali played well, but did anyone notice Gordon encouraging him when to press? He's settling into the team, but he's still learning Howe's way. Do you think that's fair? Also, what I wanted to add, by the way, which I don't think we touched on, how fantastic was Elliot Anderson when he came on yesterday? But Elliot Anderson was brilliant.
Natural. Yeah.
Really,
phase him at all.
No. I thought he was outstanding when he came on. To be fair,
I thought. Do you know what? To be fair, I thought Tonali played really well last night, actually. And I was a bit. I had a feeling he would go off. It be the first change, because we know he's not up to the Eddie Howe fitness. As like we've talked about with Anthony Gordon. Anthony Gordon's a different player now. He's had 6 months worth of training, before pre-season. He didn't really have a pre-season either because he was on a European tournament. So you might see a different Tonali the second half of the season, in my opinion. But I was a little bit surprised how early he went off. I thought he went off a little bit earlier than I expected. I expected that typical 65th, 70th minute. But I think he went off near enough round when PSG scored, I think, wasn't it? It was around about that. So he was off a little bit earlier than I thought. But,
they scored in 55 and he was off on 64.
Yeah, so I thought he could have went a little bit longer, because I thought he had a fantastic game. That midfield three of Tonali, Bruno, and Longstaff, it's going to take a lot for Joe Linton and Willett to get back into their mind. It really is.
Yeah. Interestingly, Rich, I know we'll probably talk about this tomorrow, but I can actually see Joe Linton coming in on the left wing for West Ham, because obviously Anthony Gordon's out.
There's a spot there now.
Yeah. Or maybe Isaac goes out to the left and Wilson plays through the middle. Who knows? But it's a nice problem to have, isn't it, when players come back from injury? So no, that's really good news. So we've got two more things to say. Firstly, Daz, can you get that lovely super chat music on, please?
Oh, we can.
Super chat.
Super chat from our good friend of the channel, Trulls. Trulls, good evening, mate. Thank you very much for the donation. And Trulls says, what a game. And credit where credit is due. Lascelles was amazing, like all of our players was.
Great.
Totally agree.
100%.
Totally agree. 110%. The last thing, and I've saved this for Yano, because this is a lovely message from Yano. Yano says, quick shout out for the boys watching on high. Chris A, Stu Ray, and Dave. RIP lads, and yes,
well said, Yano.
Yeah, I think Yano's spot on there. The three lads would have been watching, no doubt, and they'd have loved that. Absolutely loved that. And that's it for the questions, boys.
Thank you, Chris, for the questions. Just a quick shout out to the sponsors, and we close up then. So quick shout out to, here we go, the Radiator Shed and the lovely radiators that Russ has on offer there. So go check them out. There could even be new pictures or new information from Russ. So check that out. Also, if you need to get them installed, UCL Installworks, Russell's other company that will sort you out for that. Chris, you got a company there.
On the side from Avon, yeah.
Yeah. If you turn up on the Boy George outfit, though, I don't know if that's going to work.
No.
But yeah, and shout out to H2O Bathroom Design Co., the Northeast's largest supplier of Velcro and Botch bathroom. Team Valley Gateshead, over 20 years established, run by the family. Get down to the showroom on 11th Avenue, Team Valley Estate, Gateshead. And you know already, and I know there's definitely new pictures here somewhere from the guys at H2O Bathroom Design Co. So yeah, check that out, the latest. So that's it, lads. Of course, we've already mentioned, but coming up tomorrow at 9 o'clock is this man, Dan Lawless, in the house to disrupt and to cause all means of trouble. So the Jamaican Geordie is in the house. Yes, my limb slip is wearing off now. But yes, that is it. Keep an eye on that one for tomorrow. What a show, what a game, what a result. All you have to do now is hit that like button and subscribe. But thanks everyone for joining us. Thanks for all your messages in the chat. Richie, was only one thing left to say.
How do you like that?
Hey, good night everyone. See you later.
Drink it, like me, then tell me if you like that, like that.